Do you like gold? Do you want some? I know I do, because I'm seeing it everywhere where I'm at in China, the country's largest gold market. There's a lot of cool stuff here, but it sure ain't cheap. And I know a place where I think I can get some gold for free. The only problem is, it's on the other side of the planet. Today, I'm on my own personal gold rush, setting out to find gold, and, if I'm lucky, do something with it too. The reason I'm so interested in this gold thing is gold prices are insane right now. And there's this place near where I live in China that's famous for gold. It's a very busy place, with signs everywhere for anything gold related. And whatever this is. But the real treat is what's inside the place. This is the Shuibei gold market. Building after building, floor after floor, full of gold vendors. With some really nice stuff. And they make gold into anything you can imagine. Some pretty random things too. But I was particularly taken by this traditional Chinese wedding jewelry. And I just had to try this one on. I look kinda nice. I'll take two. And even though gold jewelry really isn't my thing, adventure kind of is. And all of this reminded me of this place where I heard you can get gold for free, but it is not close by. Back in the US where I'm from, I've heard there's this place where you can find gold just lying on the ground. So I took a trip to find it, way out in the middle of the Arizona desert. This is Stanton. And just like Shuibei, it's famous for gold. Today, it functions as a club for gold prospecting enthusiasts, where they can come and camp on the land and search for gold in the area by filling buckets of dirt that are pretty likely to have gold. It's all part of the Lost Dutchman's Mining Association. And there's one person here I've known my entire life, and that's my Uncle Larry. And together with his neighbor Rich and his dog Rusty, they've teamed up to look for gold. But before we head out, I needed Larry to refresh my memory on how to use the ATV.
Turn key on.
Key on, okay.
To start it, it's got to be in neutral.
Gotcha.
Start.
And with that, we were off. I know there's gold out here somewhere. Makes you feel like you're on an adventure. It's exciting. Before we arrived, I didn't fully know what to expect. And it was a little odd seeing these grown men with buckets in the middle of nowhere digging holes in the ground. It kind of reminded me of children in a sandbox. A sandbox that potentially had gold in it. And each of them had their own logic about where to dig.
And I picked this spot over here because I just thought it was the closest spot to come water racing around this corner. So we just try to get this dirt that's in between the rocks, take the rocks out. See, it's kind of reddish. And then you put it in a classifier. And then you shake it. So you get all the smaller pieces in there.
Basically, they collect dirt and remove the rocks, and then filter it all back at the campsite.
Just kind of eventually work together into one big hole.
Oh, so you can, okay, yeah. Huh.
That's a lot of rock to move.
Now, I wanted to find my own gold, but this looked like a lot of work. There's got to be a better way. Maybe using technology, like a metal detector. And Larry had some of those too. He's got all the cool toys. And he showed me how to use it by throwing some metal things we had in our pockets on the ground. All right, Larry, let's see if it'll... Oh, a little squeak. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Got it. I love you're a good actor, Larry.
Yeah,
wow.
right.
I'm on the hunt for a nugget. Nugget. Waving that beeping stick around, I just knew I was going to find a big gold nugget that I could take back to Larry and Rich and wow them with what I found. But the reality was far different. I wasn't finding anything out here. It's a big empty desert. And the only thing that was beeping is when I accidentally waved the detector over the metal in my shoe. So I went back to see how the other guys were doing. I couldn't help but share my frustration with Larry. Metal detecting is like every rock has possibility, right? Yeah. So I can't help but turn everything over and hope for the best.
It's all kind of like that.
It was clear to me that finding gold was hard work. And I finally could see how looking for it could drive you mad. I wonder what kind of odd characters this place has attracted in the past. Rich and Larry packed up their 14 buckets of dirt, hopefully there's some gold in there, and we all made our way back to the camp. Stanton may not look like much, but it's been here for over 150 years. And yeah, it's got some history. It may look pretty empty now, but when gold was first discovered, there were far more people here. And to tell me about it, I met up with the manager of the place, Carl.
There's only like a half a dozen of them that you can see here, but that mountain is full of holes. There was 10,000 people that lived up there. There was a whole village that lived up on that mountain. When gold was discovered in the West, it was a stampede, and all the roads, the railroads, and the trails, and people coming in the wagons, they were 90% were coming for their fortune in gold.
Right.
You know, and it was brutal. It was just brutal.
It was a brutal time, and the Wild West was full of criminal characters, including the town's namesake, Chuck Stanton. Gosh, he's a creepy-looking dude. After killing his neighbors and forcefully taking over the town, he named the whole thing after himself, and even did some other horrible things, like keeping a human hostage.
This is where he held her hostage in here.
According to Carl, he kept a local woman down in this hole for like a year or so, and I was about to see the space for myself. And it's not pleasant. I can't imagine spending any length of time down here. This dead lizard knows what I'm talking about. Wow. It's kind of a somber space down there. Yeah, this place is named after a really bad dude. In the middle of all this desert, I want to talk to you about this thing on my back that somehow, through a total coincidence, matches the environment perfectly. This is the OneMo Tactical Backpack from PGY Tech, and I'm into it. The whole back unzips so I can see all my stuff at a glance. Pretty handy, right? Its back has this mesh ventilation system that keeps my back from getting all sticky, because, yeah, I sweat a lot, not super proud of that. And it's covered in this moly webbing, so I can add my own pouches to it. Those little things, like my fast-growing rock collection. Stay safe, little buddies. There's so much more about this bag, but I gotta go find some more rocks. I mean, gold. I gotta find gold. Wandering around the camp, I kept noticing all this old rusty stuff lying around. And it turns out that it's all pieces of machinery used to separate gold from dirt. And the DIY spirit of making these kinds of machines is still alive and well today, especially at my uncle's campsite. The whole thing is called a sluice box, and it has a lot of moving parts. But the main thing is the gold gets collected here, where the water goes over these green grooves. Once the dirt had gone through this machine, Larry cleaned it out and took what remained to Rich's smaller version, which separated the gold from the dirt even further. And the first tiny bits of gold began to show. Finally, the last step, panning what was left over. Myself, Larry, and the dog couldn't wait to see the results. Wow. Huh.
And until you dry it and weigh it, then you can get really disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turns out this was not a lucky day. Out of all the dirt they collected, they only found about $20 worth of gold. Time to get the machine ready for the next batch of dirt. My time in Stanton was almost over, so I took the ATV out for one last look around. There sure is a lot of beauty out here, but it's also rugged and unforgiving. I was still pretty bummed that I hadn't found any gold. I thought it would be everywhere, and for some reason I couldn't think about anything else. I decided to throw my drone up to get some perspective on the place. For over 150 years, people have come here looking for gold, driving many of them crazy. Had I become crazy too? I left Stanton to meet up with Larry and Rich at the nearest town for dinner, feeling frustrated about this whole gold thing. But as I was driving, I saw something so beautiful I had to stop. They just stood there and looked at me. I may not have found any gold, but maybe the experience of being out here itself was enough. But was it really? Before leaving Arizona, I had dinner with Larry and Rich at the only Chinese restaurant anywhere in the area.
Wasn't it about the first time?
And they told me there's still one other way I can find local gold before I left town, and I got excited. So the next day I met with a random person and bought this little baggie of things. And brought it all back to my motel bathroom. Okay. All right. Even though I didn't find any gold out in Stanton myself, I am desperate to find something. So I found out that you can actually buy dirt locally in town. And what I got was this little baggie. It's a little Ziploc bag full of something they call pay dirt. And it's supposed to have at least a little bit of gold in it. I'm not seeing any gold anymore. This is really disheartening. Maybe there just isn't gold in this dirt. Let's see. Maybe we need more. Oh, whoa, okay. Okay, all is not vain. What a relief that is. Wow. Oh, that's cool. Look at those chunks of gold. Finally, at least I had something to bring back with me to China. It's time to turn this American gold into something. But into what? I hadn't decided yet. Back in Shuibei, I arrived at this place and walked in the door. Everywhere, people were making stuff out of gold. And I wanted to be next. So I met with one of the jewelers and showed her what I had. But there's one other thing I need to mention. Right before leaving the US, I received this. It was a package from my uncle, and inside was this little piece of paper. He gifted me some of that Stanton gold, which I proudly poured out for the jeweler to see. With our gold combined, we actually had enough to make something. At least something simple. So the jeweler started doing her thing. My wife, who was filming, helped me communicate with the jeweler, and I asked her a simple question. Did you tell her where it came from?
I don't think she cares.
Oh. I care. The next step was to pick a simple design from this collection of stamps. I had to think a little bit, but then I found one that I thought was perfect. Finally, she finished her work and packaged it up. It really isn't anything fancy. It's the Chinese character for horse, a symbol of the American West, the animal of the Chinese New Year, and the creature that taught me maybe gold isn't everything. The experience matters too. And yes, I'm a little crazy, but that's not such a bad thing. Now, walking around Shuibei, I've got a new appreciation for gold. But there's one piece of gold that's extra special. I think of it as an experience around my neck. Wherever you are, I wish you and your family good fortune and meaningful experiences in the new year.